Before this video starts, I just want to give a massive shout out to all my channel members. If you want to receive a shout out, then become a channel member today and you'll be shown on screen like all these other channel members here. Anyways, enjoy the video. The Brainwashed Units. These are variants of the basic cats that you can only unlock during seasonal gacha events such as the Gals of Summer or Xmas Gals. These units have unique abilities that make them stand out from their other basic counterparts. In version 12.7, the true forms for the Brainwashed Units were released, and now I can give a definitive ranking of all of the Brainwashed Units from worst to best. When reviewing each of the Brainwashed Units, I will put on screen which seasonal events you can obtain said Brainwashed Unit as of version 12.7. This may change in the future, so do keep that in mind. If you enjoyed this ranking, then be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment down below on who your favorite Brainwashed Unit is. Consider this video my 17.5k special. Anyways, let's get to the ranking.
Disappointment in the game of life!
Brainwashed Lion is easily the worst of the Brainwashed Units. They don't have that much health, only having 35,000 health at level 50, their range is awful, and their targets are bad too. The only relevant black enemies Brainwashed Lion can curse are Baku and Dark Joe, but both can easily be fought. Against Aku, their matchup is only slightly better, but the only Aku enemy with the relevant status they could dream of hitting is Condemned Pang, who really doesn't have that brutal of a slow, and Mamont, but his toxic isn't even that threatening. This unit just doesn't work for the role that they're trying to accomplish. While only having 2 knockbacks is cool, and this doesn't make them as juggleable as the other Lion variants, it really doesn't have the stats or abilities to do much. They don't even have any cool combos like regular Lion, or a somewhat valuable niche as a wave shield like Loyal Lion, or even area attack like Manic Lion have to really make them stand out. Brainwashed Lion, in my opinion, is both the worst Lion variant and the worst Brainwashed unit. Brainwashed Dark is next, and as it turns out, they're actually slightly better than Brainwashed Lion in terms of their niche. Though saying that a regular dumpster fire is better than a dumpster inferno isn't saying much. This unit is meant to counter enemies like Henry, Crockley, and other traitless statusers. However, this unit has a very hard time reaching these enemies. Now it does get a mini wave in its true form. Cool, too bad it's level 1. This just adds 85 piercing range, which in 99% of situations will not be enough to reach these enemies. All this unit needed was a level 3, hell, even a level 2 mini wave, and it could have been a decent traitless cursor since this pierce is enough to hit most enemies reliably, including Henry and Crockley. Too bad they fucked up the mini wave level by keeping it at level 1, forever damning this unit into the pits of garbage. This unit's stats don't even work as an offensive or even a defensive unit, since it only has 150 range with 1.1k DPS and 32.4k health against traitless. Though as a unit itself, it somehow manages to be the best Dark variant if you exclude combos just because it has the slightest chance of doing something. Lol Dark still beats it with combos. Brainwashed Chimera is a unit who excels in levels in which tankers shine best. With 86,000 health and 18,000 damage, with a 20% chance to triple that means they can take hits for a short period of time and possibly dish out an attack that deals 55,000 damage thanks to Savage Blow. Their immunities are nice, allowing them to deal with more threats compared to the other Titan variants. They do notably lack any freeze immunity, so they won't be too useful for Henry stages. However, this unit still has all of the flaws of the other Titans, these being high cost with a long cooldown without any of the range. This means they'll take a good chunk of cash with them and probably die after fighting for a few seconds. The meta is not very friendly to the Titan family as a whole, since there aren't too many levels in which tankers are the best units for the level. Still, I would consider them the second best Titan, only behind Manic Chimera, because Manic Chimera is faster and has a more reliable secondary effect, a really long wave attack. The first actually decent unit on the list is Brainwashed Flying Cat. Brainwashed Flying Cat targets traitless enemies, has a 50% chance to summon a level 2 mini wave with a 100% chance to slow for 2 seconds. While this unit doesn't have the best range, this unit can deal amazing damage against melee traitless enemies, the biggest being Auto Smack You. Their wave immunity allows them to shred Corys. Their surge immunity, however, isn't as useful, but can be used against Cappy Jr. to land a big hit or two thanks to their slow attack rate. Their damage output is pretty decent, dealing 30,000 damage, but their DPS is pretty gnarly. They have 17,000 DPS against traitless enemies, and seeing as they are very spammable, you can easily pile on the damage against melee traitless enemies. However, like all of the flying variants, their range isn't the best, and they cost a lot to send out, so what you'll be able to get in practice isn't all too great. These two factors also put him in competition with another mid-range spammable attacker. In this case, this would be Cameraman Cat. She both sports a lower cost and higher range. They are also much easier to stack, and they even have the benefit of being able to survive a lethal strike. Brainwashed Flying can still succeed in situations that mow through traitless enemies. In terms of the flying cats, this one is the best outside of combos, simply because this unit can actually do something of use in a late endgame. An Eraser variant not in first place? Well, this is a surprise. However, there are a few reasons for this being the case. Unlike the other Erasers, this is a specialized unit. This unit is meant to be an anti-traitless meat shield. This unit also has a very low base health stat compared to the other Erasers, only having 13.5k health at level 50. This unit also has a cooldown of 4.2 seconds, over twice as long as a regular meat shield, and has a higher cost compared to the other Erasers, costing 210 cents to send out. However, they're quite decent at taking traitless hits, having an effective 81,000 health against them. With research combos, this unit could be a very spammable traitless meat shield. However, their low base health means they can struggle against mixed stages, so they can really only work in pure traitless stages, or stages in which the main threats are traitless enemies. Brainwashed King Dragon is here in fourth. Brainwashed King Dragon is the second tankiest and second strongest dragon, just outside of talented Little King Dragon. This dragon, like the other dragons, is meant to be a unit who attacks from a good standing range. Brainwashed King Dragon has two things that help them stand out from the other dragons. The first is freeze immunity, which can be super useful for fighting enemies like Golem Sunfish, Baku, and Henry. However, due to their high standing range, they generally don't need to be worried too much about getting frozen, but it is a nice addition to have. The second and bigger thing is their wave immunity. Since all of the common wave enemies tend to have lower standing ranges, Brainwashed King Dragon can easily outrange these enemies. This unit also pairs extremely well with Dancer, who is probably the best non-Uber wave immune in the game, and can act as bonus wave immune damage from a safer distance. When compared to the other dragons, Brainwashed King Dragon is probably the second best dragon, since it doesn't suffer the same stat drop-offs that Manic King Dragon does. However, Little King Dragon is so cracked that if somehow another dragon variant wants to surpass this, it would probably break the entire game. A solid ranged attacker with some immunities that make them able to be used in more niche situations. Now what if you took Manic Island, put them in a photocopying machine, and changed your targeting to zombie enemies along with a few extra additions? Well, that is Brainwashed Island, and like the red enemies Manic Island targets, most zombie enemies are melee-based enemies. They can also curse zombies and are toxic immune, allowing them to counter many of the statuses zombie enemies can inflict, such as Dabu's Slow, Zerziel's Freeze, or Lord Gravy's Knockback. Since they're also toxic immune, they make for an amazing Zolo counter, being able to instantly kill any Zolo in their path. In levels where tankers like them are extremely valuable, they can be used as a tanky, cheaper attacker, since 60,000 health for a cheap, relatively spammable unit means that you can easily have multiple on the field. While normally I would say something along the lines of Cadaver Bear just outclassing it, this just isn't the case here. Having 150,000 health against zombies, while dealing 27,000 damage and having 15,000 DPS means they can be a much tankier option. Their damage output is still extremely respectable, and Brainwashed Island is 7 times tankier. They can be easier to stack damage with. The only major downside is the lack of area damage, but most zombies aren't paired up with groups anyways, so this isn't too much of an issue. This Brainwash unit, unlike most of the others with the special targeting, is actually really good against said target, since this sort of unit can easily counter zombies. In terms of who the best island is, it just comes down to which target you're facing, since this unit is basically the same as Manic Island, only varying by 3 attack points and ever being so slightly slower. For red enemies, Manic is better. For zombies, Brainwash is better. For anything else, they're equal. Brainwashed Mohawk, like all of the Mohawk variants, is a meat shield. The main standout thing about this unit is that they have a 30% chance to dodge black, Aku, and relic enemies. This makes them an extremely reliable unit for most of Uncanny Legends. While they only get their relic targeting in their true form, their black and Aku targeting is still super useful for the early to mid game, especially for the Aku realms. For a unit like this, you would think they would nerf it by increasing their cooldown and cost to a great degree, but all they did was increase their cost by 15 cents, costing 90. The 30% dodge chance for a unit this spammable is actually nuts, since you can use them alongside other shields. Pair this unit with a specialized meat shield like Nono or Chibigao for the anti-black matchup, or Concat for Aku and relic enemies, and you'll have a very good line of defense. They also have a respectable speed stat, being one of the fastest meat shields in the game. If you end up getting this unit at the start of the game, they can act as an early game crazed cat. While normally Manic Mohawk is better due to their higher speed and they're able to take weaker hits, and levels in which there's a massive black, relic, or Aku presence, they are the superior meat shield since their high dodge chance and spammability means you'll have a very easy time defending against these enemy traits. Brainwashed Macho Legs is easily the best of the Brainwashed units. This unit is able to summon a level 4 Surge within a respectable range of effect. The area damage from one Brainwashed Macho Legs is nearly 30,000 from one singular Surge, and they still have a relatively fast attack rate, meaning the Surge damage will be nearly constant. Plus, since you can easily make a stack thanks to their relatively fast cooldown for their power, the Surge damage will easily snowball into pure Surge chaos. In their first two forms, they only have a level 3 Surge, and to demonstrate how one extra Surge level affects their damage output, here's a graph showing how long it takes for a level 50 Sexy Legs and Macho Legs to deal 200,000 damage. One Surge level means it takes 2 less attacks needed to cross the 200,000 damage line. Brainwashed Macho Legs' Surge damage output is so good that it's even comparable to Dazzly. While Brainwashed Macho Legs only has 1/4 of the damage output of Dazzly, they only have a cooldown that's also around 1/4 of the length. So while the Surge damage isn't as immediately threatening, over time it will achieve very similar results. So in the same vein that Can has a pocket Balrog, Brainwashed Macho Legs is a pocket Dazzly. Also, Brainwashed Macho Legs is one of the best units to use for the dojo, since this unit can easily deal tons of damage to one concentrated spot, and since you don't earn cash for killing enemies, this makes them a very cost-efficient unit for the dojo. Brainwashed Macho Legs is who I feel is the best of the Macho Leg variants, and overall the best Brainwash unit in the game. So that is my ranking for the Brainwash units. Do you agree or disagree? Well, let me know in the comments down below, and while you're down there, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, as this lets me know that this is the sort of content you guys want. Also, shout out to Oppenheimer and all the other channel members. If you want to support what I do in a way that helps keep the lights on, become a member today and you will be shown on screen here. Members also gain an exclusive role in my Discord server, for which you can find a link to in the description down below. Anyways, I hope you have a wonderful day.